Hi, I'm Becky Waring Steele.
And I'm Libby Barbie.
Welcome to the Denver Art Museum's first ever Untitled Creative Fusion at Home. Libby and I are proud to be the two featured artists for this three-part series. We collaborated with the Denver Art Museum and other creatives from Colorado and the Southwest to develop an online event full of fun and unexpected experiences.
Our theme for this three-part series is Unearthing Place. Inspired by the work of Homer and Remington in the exhibition Natural Forces, we wanted to curate a program that investigates the concept of frontier and the many associations and contradictions that come with it. We're interested in looking at this place, the American West, through multiple lenses.
Enjoy.
Bye.
For Winslow Homer and Frederick Remington, the depiction of place can be very specific or from a distant memory. The Homer painting West Point, Prout's Neck was painted just outside his home and studio near Prout's Neck, Maine. It was a landscape he saw almost daily from 1884 until his death in 1910. Closely attuned to this environment, Homer wrote, "It took many days of careful observation to get this, with a high sea and tide just right." End quote. The hours of labor paid off, and Homer ultimately called it his best work. Frederick Remington's American West occupies an ambiguous zone of real and imagined. He had real experiences in the West, where he collected stories and gear, took photographs, and made sketches for future artworks. He studied the light and atmosphere of the arid desert in Arizona and the mountains and high plains in Wyoming. In the first decade of the 20th century, his landscapes become more and more nondescript. In Fight for the Waterhole, he simplifies the landscape to bands of high-key color with no real detail. I sometimes refer to these works as the big empty, as there's just nothing there. They are nowhere specific, but are interpreted by viewers as the American West solely because it is a desert landscape and more likely for the inclusion of Western subjects. Throughout his career, Remington made trips to the West each summer, but returned to his studio in New Rochelle, New York, where he created his paintings. With each subsequent trip, he recognized the changes to the West. He wrote, "I knew the wild riders and the vacant land were about to vanish forever, and the more I considered the subject, the bigger the forever loomed." End quote. He was increasingly forced to recall images from memory. He wrote in 1908, "I sometimes feel that I'm trying to do the impossible in my pictures and not having the chance to work direct, but it is studio or nothing." End quote. While he lamented not working from nature, he believed that his imagination would ring the lasting note, saying, "These transcript from nature fellows, who are so clever, cannot compare to the imaginative men in the long run."
Hello, thank you so much for joining us for this evening's episode. I'm really so excited to have this opportunity to share with you a little about my art practice. I'm a multimedia artist, and through my work I explore the American West and our human relationship to the natural world. Today I'm here to share with you a little about a project called the Sound Mirror Project. It's a multifaceted project produced by myself and fellow artist and collaborator Bill Nelson. This project was originally created for an outdoor art exhibition, and at the heart of the project was really this desire to bridge the gap between urban and rural experiences. It also really came from this conviction that small farmers and ranchers have something important to share with us about our human relationship to the natural world, as well as our responsibility to be stewards of the land. The idea for the Sound Mirror Project came from these kind of crazy acoustic devices known as sound mirrors, which were used in wartime before the advent of radar so that people could locate enemy ships passing in the fog or enemy airplanes. Only our sound mirrors were intended to present sounds of nature through the lens of Colorado farmers and ranchers. So over the spring and summer of 2018, I traveled across Colorado conducting interviews with farmers and ranchers. I asked them to record the sounds that best capture their relationship to the natural world, and then I interviewed them about their experiences farming and ranching. I asked them also to share with me some of the really special knowledge that comes from this type of work. So the things that they know a lot about, but people living in urban environments might not. The folks that I interviewed recorded everything from the sounds of nesting eagles and howling coyotes to sounds of cattle roundups and branding, and the sound of water trickling from wells being pumped by windmills. So all types of different sounds that really for them embodied their relationship to the natural world. My collaborator Bill is an avid collector of cool stuff, and he's also one of the best tinkerers around. So he scavenged these really cool pieces and parts from an old church organ to create our sound sculptures. And I have an example of one of our sound sculptures here. We had a total of 4. We took the hours and hours of recordings that we had collected, and we created these really short sound compilations that can be heard through these sound mirror pieces. And Bill was able to find all of these really cool old headphones that could be worn to hear the sound pieces. Then we created a book containing the interviews and photos that we collected. Altogether, the elements of the Sound Mirror Project provide a glimpse into the lives, passions, worries, and efforts of all the good folks who feed Colorado.
If you take the cow away, things aren't going to get better. In fact, they're going to degrade.
The weather is constantly changing in southeastern Colorado.
The lighting was unreal. It was just like you had lights on everywhere, and there was water from the top of that hill from over as far as you would look over that way. Just solid water.
When we first started working on the Sound Mirror Project, I really felt it was important for urban people to understand the hard work that goes into creating our food. Because good policy and fair compensation are really needed for farmers and ranchers to do their work in ways that ensure sustainability and the long-term health of their land. Now, though, I think that this project is even more important than ever. The coronavirus has really revealed the fragility of this global production and distribution system that values efficiency and low costs over resiliency. So I really think now is the time for all of us to get to know our local farmers and ranchers and make sure that we're supporting the folks who feed us.
That's where you're locating.
So we got minor manners, huh?
Yeah.
That's gonna be hard to do.
See, I thought that was a rabbit call.
So did I.
Well, I was like, geez,
I thought it was one of them
the way you
tails.
guys were talking, I'm like, man, I'm pretty far behind. Okay, get on your horse.
You guys seen what's gonna shoot a coyote?
I think she is.
She had that gun last time.
Hi, my name is Kate Chavula. I'm the paint maker and owner behind Ruby Mountain Paint Company, and I create handmade watercolors and supplies to inspire artists from my home studio in Fort Collins, Colorado. To learn more about me and what I do, just search for Ruby Mountain Paint Co. on Facebook, Instagram, or Etsy. Today, I want to talk to you about one of my favorite ways to create, and that is creating postcards of places I've been, places I remember, or places I imagine. And these little paintings are quick and easy ways to record what you see when you're out on a hiking trip, camping trip. Sometimes I even do it while we're snowboarding. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how to get started and some tips and tricks for when you get out there. So first of all, I find that it's easier to paint if I have everything together and easy to grab. So when you're getting your supplies ready for a camping trip or a hiking trip, grab a zip bag that you can put all your stuff in. I paint on little postcard size papers, either that come in a pad like this. Sometimes I tear them myself, like this one that my daughter did. Other times I might paint in a little sketchbook like this. I keep the format small so that it's quick and feels easy for me to do with limited time. And I always bring a pencil because I start with a pencil sketch. I bring either a travel brush like this one that has a collapsible handle to protect your brushes or your bristles. Sometimes I'll bring a water brush like this that has water right in the handle. I bring a small set of watercolors and throw it all in that zip pouch I showed you earlier, and then it's easy and everything's organized when you get to your destination. And when I get to the place that I want to paint, I start by drawing a really simple pencil sketch. Once I have my sketch, I start by adding in washes of color. Once I've got washes of color in my picture, then I can go back in and add details. I can add darker shapes. I can go back in and add the trees that are really close to me in the foreground. And then to finish it up, I like to sign and date my postcard or my painting so that I remember where I was and when I painted it. This is a great activity to do with family. My daughter and I went out last week and we painted the Poudre River. And so this is her painting that she did, and this is my postcard painting that I did. It's a great way to connect with nature, to observe more, and I find that I remember a lot more details of the places that I've painted as opposed to the places that I've just photographed. So I hope you'll find some time this spring to get outside, to maybe paint some postcards of places you've been, places you remember, or even places that you imagine. Happy painting!
Hi, I'm Becky Waring-Steele.
I'm Shannon Geis.
And we're here today to talk to you about our project, Personal Geography. And we'll be debuting the new Personal Geography virtual experience after this brief introduction. We talked a little bit more in detail about this project in yesterday's episode, so you can look back to that for a more in-depth look into the project. But just to give you a general overview, Personal Geographies unites my sculptural small-scale sculpture practice with Shannon's ability as an oral historian. So where it starts off is Shannon will sit down with someone and conduct a brief interview about that individual's memory of place. And we'll just walk them through a little bit as they're describing it and asking them about like feelings and emotions associated with it, other thoughts that these things bring up as you're kind of walking through that virtual memory of space. And then I take this information into the studio. And previously in its sculptural form, I was creating sculptural representations of these works that were viewed through peepholes in the eyes of a human bust sculpture made of paper mache, where you would peer into the eyes and the sculpture would reveal itself. For the virtual experience, we've changed this into a stop motion animation that takes place inside of the diorama that I've recreated of that individual's memory of place. So that's what you're about to see. And take it away, Shannon.
Yeah, so this is a brand new, we're really debuting this new version of the project. But if you'd like to see more of our sculptural work and hear some of the other stories that we and memories that we've already conducted and created sculptures of, please visit our website, personalgeography.org. And if you're interested in sharing one of your own memories, please do reach out. Fill out the contact form on our website, and we will get in touch with you. I hope you enjoy.
So when I was growing up, I actually lived in North Pole, Alaska. And every summer we would drive to Valdez, Alaska, and have very strong memories of that drive and of lying on the floor of the RV as we were driving because of the vibration and the warmth of the floor when I was like 8 years old. It was something that we did every summer, so it felt very familiar. It felt safe. So it was one of those classic style motorhomes where there was like a bed over the driver's and passenger seat in the front. So my dad would be driving, my mom would be in the passenger seat. And then there's kind of this long floor that the long couch kind of went along. If you're facing the driver's side on the left side, and then on the right side, a table with 2 chairs. There was always a stack of Uno cards on the table, or Skip-Bo, because that's what we did in the evenings. It feels like we would drive the whole way in one shot for the most part, because we had the motorhome and like we had a restroom, we had snacks and food, and so I think for the most part we could just drive it straight through. I remember too, we would always leave at like 4 a.m. It was vacation. It was also, my parents were fishermen and women, so we would go and kind of fish our limit every year, and then we would freeze it and can it and have that for, a lot of our meals during the winter, which is a very Alaskan thing to do. My life changed drastically and in a good way, but I was an only child until I was 13. And so there were a few years of this, and then my brother and an adopted sister came into the picture at the same time. And I love them both, and I'm close to both of them, but it may be that this comes up because it was kind of a couple years of just me, my mom, my dad, and our dog.
Future Ancestors is a political performance art piece to honor the stolen land while bringing awareness and action to the missing and murdered Indigenous women and Two-Spirit epidemic. This performance utilizes authentic expression and embodiment to invoke healing 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. Let us give thanks and honor the land, the native peoples of this land, and our Mother Earth. Nosotros encarnamos el espíritu de los elementos, aire, fuego, tierra, agua. Demos a gracias de la Madre Tierra, Tonantzin. We come from the world of the dead, and we are here to deliver a message from the future ancestors. O humans, why do you suppress your true wild essence? You cut ties from nature, and this disconnection allows for destruction. Estamos aquí para decir, no más destrucción y no más corrupción. The wounds of the past must be collectively healed. Our people and Mother Earth are still being killed. Native women are murdered at rates 10 times the national average. Now I ask you, who do you consider civilized and who do you consider savage? 96% of rapes are perpetrated by non-native men. Where is the justice? They continue to run free. We must put an end to this killing spree. Ya basta! Enough violence towards our women and children. We experience layers of grief upon grief, yet it is the strength of our spirits you cannot defeat.
Oh my sisters, oh my brothers, come together, build the future. Oh my sisters, oh my brothers, join the elders by the fire. Oh my sisters, oh my brothers, come together, build the future. Oh my sisters, oh my brothers, join the elders, build the fire, build the future, build the fire, build the future by the fire, build the future by the fire, build the future by the fire. Oh my sisters, oh my brothers, come together, build the future. Oh my sisters, oh my brothers, join the elders, build the fire.
That's a wrap for tonight's Untitled Creative Fusion at Home.
Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's episode, and thank you to all of our incredible collaborators.
Bye.